Hello, my name is Jane Caddick, and today, as part of my Forest School Level 3 portfolio, Unit 2, I'm going to demonstrate to you the safe storage and maintenance of my tools. It's really important to make sure that our tools are looked after. Blunt or damaged tools are far more dangerous and pose more of a threat than tools which are well maintained. And of course, if you look after your tools, they're going to last a long time. So, to start with, when I'm checking my tools, I always start by giving them a visual check. So I'm going to have a look at my knife and checking that the sheath, the cover is all okay, no damage there. I remove the cover, I have a quick check of the knife blade as well, check that there's no chinks in there, that's absolutely fine. And just checking that there's no residue left from when I've been using it on the wood. If there is, I literally just use water and a damp cloth, and making sure that my hand is nowhere near the blade, I'm just going to give it a wipe off and check it as well, like that. So making sure it's clean. Before I put it back in the sheath, I will make sure that it is really dry. Or I can add a little bit of oil on it, and that will help maintain it as well. Need to keep my knife nice and sharp, and to do that I'm going to use a sharpening stone. And in order to make sure that all of the blade is done, you start by placing it on the sharpening stone like that, at a slight angle, the beveled edge there you can see. Using my fingers to put a little bit of pressure on there, I'm just going to move it forward and take it round. I've done 5 that side. Turn it over, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So, pushing it away. And that's probably enough, it's just to keep a nice edge on it. So I'm just going to dry my knife off before I put it back in the sheath. So again, working from the top of the blade, just wiping it clean, and that can go in there. I want to store my tools. I have a small bag for my smaller tools, like my knife and farm drill, so it goes in there, and then it also gets put into my big toolbox, which is kept in a shed. It's only taken to the Forest School site when I'm actually going to be using those specific tools. The next thing to look at is my bill hook. Again, I'm going to start by giving it a visual assessment, and I can see cover's fine. Have a look at this. I'm checking now for the blade, making sure there's no chinks, making sure there's no cracks or erosion around the point where the blade is attached to the handle, and also I'm checking that the end of the handle is still firm. There's no movement there at all, and it's absolutely fine too. Now with this tool, you've got a curved edge to it, a curved sharp edge, and so it's better to use a sickle sharpener instead of this flat one. And when I'm sharpening it, again, I'm going to make sure that I'm working away from the blade. So I'm going to go across, and hold it with that hand, and I'm going to literally turn it over, and then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. If there was any residue on that, any debris, again I would be wiping it clean with a wet, a damp cloth. It's absolutely fine. I'm just going to give that a brush off now. Make sure it's clean. And then that gets returned to its cover, and that also gets put back into its storage bag. Right, next is my loppers. Now with the loppers you've got a mechanism which I'm looking at them visually. You can see that the blade is nice and it's nice and straight, and there's it's not, everything is nice and tight. It's not sort of I've got loose nuts and bolts there to worry about. If there were, I would just simply tighten them up. To clean my loppers, I'm going to open them up and I'm going to make sure that they are wedged against my body so they don't close. And then this one I'm going to use a smaller sharpening stone. You only have one sharp blade on loppers, and again they have a beveled edge, so I'm literally going to just go like this one. Do exactly the same on the other side. Wedging them. Just wipe that off with a cloth. Sure there's no debris on those either. That all looks okay. Because it's a jointed tool, I want to keep that moving quite freely, so a little bit of WD-40 will help with that. So you just give it a little bit of a spray and then clean it out just to get that mechanism moving. Any excess you can just rub into the blade, because it acts as a water barrier as well as a lubricant, so it's very good. It's a bit like using oil. I'll show you the other side so you'll see. Now they go into my main bag. There. Now finally, I'm going to have a look at my bow saw. Again, visual check. I'm looking at the cover. That's not cracked or damaged. That's absolutely fine. So feel the blade is nice and firmly in place. If it wasn't, I would literally tighten it up with that. And the handle is fine as well. So what I want to do now is to check that the teeth are all where they should be. None of them are bent and out of place. So I look down the length of it and I can see that they're all okay. And I'm also now going to check for any debris in that. Again, my damp cloth is useful. I can just wipe. You can see I'm wiping away. Down. Turn it over. It's a good idea to make sure that after you've used it each time that you just wipe off any bits of wood which are in there. And just going to give that a bit of a wipe as well. Now, with bow saws, you can't sharpen the blades. So basically what you have to do is you replace that when it gets worn out, or if it gets any damage on it. That's the simplest way of maintaining those tools. And I like to keep one in my box in case anything happens. So making sure that I return the safety cover. I'm going to store that in my box. Now this one I store with the handle down and the blade facing up, and in the bottom of my box. So this is all ready to be put away. Lay that down flat. Same. Like that. And then I have a lid which goes on the top.